Hey folks, welcome to Seaway Whiskey Wire. Tonight on the bar, we've got the Tamnavulin Double Cask Speyside Single Malt Scotch Whisky. Stay tuned. Well, hey folks, thanks for coming back after the intro. I'm Tyler, and tonight at the bar we've got ourselves an entry-level expression from the Tamnavulin Distillery with the Tamnavulin Double Cask Speyside Single Malt Scotch Whisky. Before we get into the overview and the specs, and a little bit of history about the Tamnavulin Distillery and this particular release from Tamnavulin, if you have yourself anything from Tamnavulin, or you have yourself something that's maybe at 40%, nice entry, very easy sipping scotch, you want to pour yourself a dram and drink along with me, please do so. I encourage it. It makes life a heck of a lot better for you guys on the other end, and I enjoy you guys drinking along with me, especially when it's easy sipping scotch whiskey. So let me give you folks a brief overview of the Tamnavulin Distillery for those of you who aren't too familiar with it. So the Tamnavulin Distillery is located in the heart of Speyside in the village of Tamnavulin and is a single malt whiskey producer. It was established back in 1966 by the Tamnavulin Glenlivet Distillery Company, and it was really built to meet the rising demand for malt whiskeys to be used in blends. And the name Tamnavulin means mill on the hill in Gaelic, which is a nod to the old wool mill that still sits there on their site today. However, in 1995, the distillery was mothballed, really due to the downturn in the whiskey market at the time. However, it was refurbished and reopened in 2007 when it was purchased by White & Mackay. And since then, Tamnavulin has been known for producing approachable, fruit-forward single malts that have gained popularity since the release of their first official expression line in 2016, including expressions that are finished in sherry, red wine, and white wine casks. And the production numbers are around 4 million liters per year, contributing both to the single malt and the blending still. So, I mean, there really is a distillery that was resurrected and created really for the blend market. I believe it still is primarily used in blends, but they do produce nice single malt. And this is their entry-level expression, the double cask here, guys. So we're going to try and see what we can get out of this. Non-age statement, 40%. Let's get into the overview before I crack into it too much further. So what are we dealing with here, guys, for an overview of the Tamnavulin Double Cask Speyside Single Malt Whiskey? Well, comes in with an ABV stamp of 40% ABV, which some of you guys are going to gawk at. It is chill filtered. There is color added. No age statement, and it's matured in a combination of American oak and sherry. But the one thing I will say about Tamnavulin, and we'll get into it when we go through the profile and whatnot, they have a good selection of casks. They're selecting good casks to use. It's not tired old casks. At least I don't believe it is. And we'll get into that with the profile and whatnot. But even at 40%, don't roll your eyes. Open your eyes up a little bit. Give this a chance. And if you're really new to whiskey, I think you're really gonna like this one. But let's get into the presentation. We'll move into that now. Presentation wise, I really like the look of this bottle. It's a good looking bottle. It's got some good looking packaging. I just wish there was more information on it. But again, it comes from a big house here. They don't always give away too much. I wish they'd give us a little bit more than just, tasting notes and whatnot. But, I think it's a pretty sleek label. I'm a big sucker for teal, and the teal really stands out on this double cask. And again, a little bit of information on the distillery, a little bit of information on the tasting notes. It's not bad. Good looking bottle, good looking packaging. Just wish there was more information and wish there was more transparency with that. And with that, let's get into the pour. Get a little cork pop here on this Tamnavulin Double Cask. Very nice cork pop. And we'll pour it and have a look at it. And I know there's color added. I'll pour myself a nice healthy dram with this. After all, it is only 40%. And we know there's color added, but we'll go in and take a look here. Let's go and take a look at the color here, guys. Really nice gold, amber. No different than I would expect in a Glenfiddich and Glenlivet or any other kind of ex-bourbon, ex-sherry matured entry-level scotch. All right. Get a little swirl in the glass there. Let's get the nose on the Tamnavulin Double Cask and see what we can pull out of here on this 40% entry-level, dare I say, beginner's scotch on the nose. First off, really enjoyable nose, lots of flavors going on here, lots of aromas, nothing offensive, nothing burning, nothing off-putting, no bitterness, like a touch of sourness on the back end maybe, but other than that, it is very, very fruity and forward with those notes. I'm getting a big dose of cherries, like nice ripe cherries, red ones, vanilla, some red berries in there too, nice toffee, and some honey behind that, and then finish with some red apples, maybe a bit of pear in there too. and maybe just a little hint of melon, green melon there. Not a bad nose at all. All right, let's move into the palate. We'll go to the taste, see what we can pull out of this entry-level whiskey from Tamnavulin Double Cask. So hopefully you got something good in your glass, and maybe you have the Tamnavulin Double Cask you want to drink along with me. Sláinte to your health, and let's get into it. You know, usually I'd say, 40% whiskey is pretty blasé. It's not half bad. Thin liquid, doesn't coat the mouth too much, doesn't linger too much at all. Just very straightforward, easy. Nothing offensive on the entry of it there. A little bit of interesting component and transformational through the palate. First off, palate-wise, sort of matches the nose, but it's a little bit kind of reverse. I'm getting vanilla on the front. I'm getting honey, toffee, some toasted nuts, maybe some toasted almonds, toasted peanuts on there as well. And then there's a bit of fruit in the back after that. Going for one more sip. Yeah, behind that, there's those cherries, there's red apples, some light chocolate in there too at the back. And then this, like, it's more the finish, I guess. It's almost like this, like, kind of remembrance or bubblegum residue. Like if you chew on bubblegum for a while and then you throw it away, you'll still have that kind of like sugary kind of bubblegum flavor in your mouth. I'm getting that. And that's very interesting and very strange. I don't think I've ever had that flavor profile from a whiskey, let alone a Scotch before. But yeah, very interesting palate. Very fairly simplistic, but well put together. Very competent entry-level whiskey. Let's move on to the finish. I'm going to go in for one more sip, give you guys my opinions on the finish and my final thoughts on the Tamnavulin Double Cask. So go for one more sip. I mean, it should come to no surprise. Finish wise, pretty short. 10-15 seconds of flavor and it's gone. Fruity and easy would be the best way to explain this. And easy could turn into approachable, easy could turn into smooth, easy could turn into a mixer. It's a pretty competent 40% whiskey again, guys. I think they're using fairly decent casks in the selection. Again, there's not really that much bitter component on the palate. You get a little bit of that chocolate, which lends a bit of bitterness to it, but it's not overly bitter like that you would get from those really, really tired casks. The sherry that they're using, or sherry casks they're using, seem to be pretty prominent and pretty decent. Are they all first fill sherry? Probably not. They're probably a combination of first and second, but wherever they're pulling them from, pretty decent casks in my opinion. Now we're going to get into the value proposition, because the value proposition, it needs to be considered on this, and maybe not so much for you seasoned whiskey enthusiasts. I know I don't really, is this for the seasoned whiskey enthusiast? I don't think so. I think this is more for the entry level, the beginners, folks looking for something to mix on the bar. I can pick this up all day long at the LCBO for $54. At $54, that's almost $20 less, or just shy of $20 less for a Glenlivet or a Glenfiddich 12. And yeah, you're not getting an age stamp with this, but I mean, I think for what you're getting out of this, you're getting a little bit more flavor, a little bit more oomph to it there. It doesn't kick you around or beat you up and all that, but it just seems to have a little bit more fruitiness, a little more fuller flavors, a little more approachability. I bet it would make a heck of a rusty nail, a heck of an old fashioned. It seems to be a very, very well put together entry level whiskey. And you know what? At $54 for a 40%er, I would get this for someone starting out in whiskey. I'd get this as a gift for somebody all day long. It's not from one of your big houses, which a lot of people, like when they get into whiskey, or like when they want to try and get into whiskey, is, getting something from those big houses. But you know what? I think it's a nice, interesting story behind it. It's got some lovely flavors, and you know what? It's not going to break the bank if someone doesn't enjoy it. But I think for $54 with what's going on, if you get this for someone as a gift, I think they're really going to enjoy it, guys. And that's my review of the Tamnavulin Double Cask Speyside Single Malt Scotch Whisky. and they were nice enough to send this over to the channel. The folks over at White and Mackay, I hooked up with them at a thing back in the wintertime there, and I just really haven't gotten around to enjoying this one too much. I pick away at it. I've had a couple of drinks and had a couple of cocktails with it, and really found it quite enjoyable, even at 40%. But yeah, if you like what we're doing here at Seaway Whiskey Wire, you guys know the drill. Like and subscribe down below, and hey, don't forget to check me out on Instagram at Seaway Whiskey Wire for more content. And if you're still hanging around this long in the video, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Love coming down to the basement after a long day's work and making some nice videos here. Trying some 40% entry-level scotch, and maybe introducing somebody to some scotch, or someone who's scotch curious and wants to get into it. I think you're going to find this one pretty damn tasty if you can find it in your area, which for me, pretty well available. Lesser known, but I think that should be overlooked for sure. All right, folks, that about wraps it up for me. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm going to finish up my little dram here and get to some editing. So all the best, take care, guys, and I'll see you around. Bye for now. Cheers.